Good evening. Once again, it's July the 31st. It's approximately 10:45 p.m. This is a late video, but I have energy and I slept well last night, so I've got time to work. This particular video is entitled Reconciling a Fractured Friendship. And if you know anything about what's happening in the United States and all over the world at this exact point in time, you know that because of our current leadership and our current leader who sows the seeds of discontent and division quite liberally all over from coast to coast, as they say, that sowing of seeds of disquiet and disagreements has affected hundreds, if not millions, of relationships between old friends that have been friends for years, some, and maybe new friends or workmates all over our great land. I'm writing this because I received a note from one of my friends. In fact, she lives here in the same retirement community that I live in. She has her own apartment like I do, right down the hall. We've known each other for 10 years plus. And during the course of the Iran war starting, we had a tete-a-tete, a face-to-face meeting in the hallway, and could not agree on certain things having to do with politics. And we haven't really basically spoken to each other since, except hello, goodbye, in chance meetings in our hallways. And I know that she was very sincere in a note she wrote me the other day. I haven't answered it yet. I had to work through this like I'm doing and creating this video and creating this writing that I will have the software in my Word account to read to you. That's where I keep my writings, is in Word. And using my Windows 11 and using all the modern conveniences I have working together here, I should be able to have that narrator in that Word processor read the work to you. He has a very nice voice. I don't know who it is. He's just a young gentleman, and obviously he has a commercialized voice, sort of like a newscaster. You can tell if you listen to any of my older videos that my voice is getting weaker, it seems, by the month, which is a result of my progressing Parkinsonian disease. And I speak softer now, and I also have to clear my throat quite often, so that instrument that has served me so well all my 75 years on this earth is now starting to not be as accomplished as it was in the past. So I will be relying on the narration in my Word program on my computer to start reading these essays. These are essays I write, and I write maybe several times a month. I think I wrote 10 or 12 last month. And when she wrote me that note the other day, this one came to mind, and so I created an entire essay on it. I'm using, as in this one, as I do in most of my videos I record for and upload to YouTube, I'm using yoga philosophy. I'm an old yoga philosopher, and I'm not joking about that. I truly am. That's not bragging, it's just fact. And because of my association with yoga and having taught it for several years in my youth, and now having written numerous, I've actually written a book or two on it. If you put everything together, at least 2 books, going on the 3rd right now. And because of that, I feel I'm qualified to create these videos. I think I'm moving up towards 90 videos right now on YouTube. If you haven't seen any of them or listen to any of them, please do. Most of them are informative, and most of them are pretty much up to date. Some of them are historical. Some of them are have to do with the mystical side, so to speak, of yoga. Yoga is not a religion; it's a science. And I try to create my videos in a scientific manner. I'm not just talking to hear myself speak. Well, let's move on now, and I'm going to open up my word program and allow it to start reading to you. And I hope you enjoy this, and may stop it occasionally and make comments, or I may not, and add comments, I should say. And so here we go.
Reconciling a fractured friendship. James Exum / Sakshi. Austin, Texas. Copyrighted July 26, 2026. All rights reserved. Without forgiveness, the heart continues to live in the past. Sakshi. Truth spoken to heal is medicine. Truth spoken to humiliate is poison. Sakshi. Friends, seekers, and companions on the path. Now we shall reflect on a tender and deeply human question. What does Vedic and yogic philosophy teach us about reconciling a fractured friendship? Every sincere relationship carries within it both beauty and vulnerability. Friendship opens the heart, but because it opens the heart, it can also become a place where misunderstanding, pride, silence, disappointment, or pain enters. When friendship fractures, the question before us is not only, how do I repair this relationship, but also, how do I return to Dharma, right duty, moral order, and truthful alignment, then to truth, to compassion, and to inner steadiness? In the Vedic and yogic understanding, reconciliation is not simply about winning someone back, proving oneself right, or restoring the outer form of a relationship. It is about restoring right relationship with truth, with the other person, with one's own conscience, and with the divine presence within all beings. To reconcile in the yogic sense is to move from reaction to awareness, from injury to wisdom, from resentment to release, and from ego-centered speech to speech guided by the heart. The friendship may be restored, transformed, or released, but the seeker's duty is to act from clarity, compassion, and dharma. The first principle is ahimsa, non-harming or non-violence in thought, word, and action. This does not mean passivity, weakness, or pretending that no harm occurred. It means that in thought, word, and action, we refuse to add more injury to the injury already present. When a friendship breaks, the mind often wants to defend itself. It may want to gossip, accuse, punish, withdraw in coldness, or reopen old wounds. Ahimsa asks us to pause. Before we speak, before we send the message, before we tell the story to others, we ask, will this reduce suffering, or will it deepen suffering? The yogic person does not seek revenge through speech. Even when distance is necessary, hatred is not necessary. Even when boundaries are necessary, cruelty is not necessary. Ahimsa becomes the atmosphere in which reconciliation can breathe. Satya, truth without cruelty. The second principle is satya, truthfulness, honesty, and sincerity. Truthfulness. Yogic philosophy does not ask us to create a false peace. A friendship cannot truly heal if it is built on avoidance, denial, or spiritual language used to cover real pain. Satya invites honest speech. This hurt me. I regret my part. I want to understand what happened. I value what we shared, and I would like to speak with openness. But satya must be joined with ahimsa. Truth spoken to heal is medicine. Truth spoken to humiliate is another wound. Therefore, the yogic question is not merely, am I telling the truth? It is also, from what state of consciousness am I telling it? If the truth comes from anger, it may burn. If it comes from humility, it may illumine. Kshama, forgiveness as inner freedom. The third principle is kshama, forgiveness, patience, and forbearance. Forgiveness and forbearance. In the Hindu and yogic traditions, forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength purified of vengeance. It is the soul refusing to remain chained to resentment. Forgiveness does not always mean returning the relationship to exactly what it once was. Sometimes trust must be rebuilt slowly. Sometimes the form of the friendship changes. Sometimes one must forgive inwardly while maintaining wise boundaries outwardly. But without forgiveness, the heart continues to live in the past. The other person may be absent, but the wound remains present. Kshama says, release the poison even if the lesson remains. Let go of the need to punish even if discernment remains. Forgive, not because the wound was imaginary, but because your peace is real. Karma and self-responsibility. Vedic wisdom also asks us to consider karma, the law of action and consequence, not as blame, but as responsibility. When a friendship fractures, the ego often asks, what did they do to me? The seeker also asks, what is my part in this? Perhaps my words were harsh. Perhaps my silence was confusing. Perhaps pride prevented me from apologizing. Perhaps I expected the other person to know what I never clearly expressed. Perhaps I reacted from old pain rather than present truth. This inquiry is not self-condemnation. It is purification. The yogic path does not ask us to carry guilt. It asks us to cultivate awareness. When we see our part clearly, apology becomes possible. Repair becomes possible. Growth becomes possible. The practice of friendliness. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, one of the great practices for calming and purifying the mind is matri, friendliness, goodwill, or loving kindness. Friendliness or loving kindness. Matri is not sentimental attachment. It is a cultivated goodwill toward life. When applied to a fractured friendship, matri may begin inwardly before it can be expressed outwardly. We may sit quietly and say, may this person be free from suffering. May I be free from bitterness. May truth arise between us. May whatever is right unfold. This does not force reconciliation. It prepares the heart for right action. Matri softens the inner field so that if conversation comes, it does not come from hostility. It comes from a wish for understanding. Reconciliation without attachment. Another essential yogic principle is Vairagya, non-attachment or freedom from clinging, non-attachment. This is especially important in reconciliation. We may offer sincerity, apology, clarity, and goodwill, but we cannot control whether the other person receives it. Vairagya teaches us to act rightly without clinging to a specific outcome. We do not manipulate, plead, pressure, or demand forgiveness. We plant a seed of truth and compassion, and then we allow the other soul its freedom. This is difficult because the heart may long for the friendship to return to what it was. But yogic wisdom reminds us that sometimes Dharma restores a bond, sometimes it transforms a bond, and sometimes it releases a bond. Non-attachment does not mean lack of love. It means love without force. A practical yogic approach. First, sit quietly and examine your own motive. Are you seeking peace, or are you seeking control? Second, release the need to be proven right. Truth does not need aggression to stand. Third, acknowledge your part honestly. Even a small apology can open a large door. Fourth, approach the other person with humility and calm speech. Fifth, ask to understand their experience before defending your own. Sixth, offer repair where repair is possible. Seventh, accept their response without coercion. Finally, if reconciliation is not possible, continue practicing goodwill and inner release. Closing meditation. So, in summary, Vedic and yogic philosophy would say this: seek truth without cruelty, forgiveness without self betrayal, and reconciliation without attachment. If the friendship can be healed, let it be healed in Dharma. If it must change, let it change with dignity. If it must be released, let it be released without hatred. The outer relationship may or may not return, but the inner work is always available. Ahimsa in the mind, satya on the tongue, kshama in the heart, matri in the spirit, and vairagya in the outcome. May we become the kind of friends who can listen deeply, speak truth gently, apologize sincerely, forgive wisely, and love without possession. May every fracture become an invitation to greater awareness, and may every sincere attempt at reconciliation bring us closer to the peace of the soul. Finally, may every ending conclude as a teaching lesson.
And there you have the reading. It seemed a bit long-winded, but it's a complex subject, and complex subjects need complex um, references and research, and all put together. Uh, Sometimes that creates more data or more of a lengthy reading than you would have expected. If you miss some of it because of the usage of the Vedic phrases, ahimsa, and so forth, just back up the video and listen to it again and turn on that little device on the bottom of your screen once you're on the YouTube that allow you to read along with the words, so to speak, because it'll give you a little enclosed box with the words being spoken. And just review areas that seem to be a bit dense for you or a bit complicated, and refresh them a couple of times until you grasp what I was trying to put out there for you and everyone else that's suffering from what I'm suffering with at this moment, which is the reconciliation of a fractured friendship with an old friend that is reaching out to me and asking for me to help make it right, to meet me in the middle. There's no saying that about an old boy that was always self-centered, and he says, the old joke is, I'll meet you on the 50-yard line, is what he says. The punchline of the joke is, when he says, I'll meet you on the 50-yard line, he already thought he was standing there, and you're the one that had to do all the forward motion. You had to do all the traveling and all the work to reach a compromise, to reach a reconciliation. Well, thank you for listening to all this. I hope, I hope it doesn't apply to what's happening in your life and has been happening in the last year or so, or 2 years, or wherever it started interfering with your life. A lot of it happened during the COVID crisis. I remember that. People getting on each other's nerves, and the videos coming on YouTube with people in Walmart and all sorts of places. Didn't mean to mention a commercial establishment. I'm not doing commercials here. But people meeting forever and running into each other and trying to grab their mask off or trying to force their opinions down each other's throats. That's not good. Humanitarian gestures, that's going back to the primeval. That's going back to the jungle. We don't want to go there. We've evolved well beyond that. Well, thank you so much again for listening, and I hope you will come to my next video. It'll be on in a few days, if not sooner. So good night to you, and be good to yourself, be good to others, and remember, day by day, it's getting better and better. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.